What is up, guys? Iced Cactus here. Thank you so much for stopping by, and today we are going to be showcasing all of the weapons that come with the Beyond Light expansion for Destiny 2 and ranking them from the worst to the best, so that players who buy this expansion in the months or years to come know which exotic weapons to go after first, which ones to utilize, and which ones to craft builds around. And so, let's get started. Now, first off, remember that the Hawkmoon and the Duality are not in this video because they're associated with Season of the Hunt, not Beyond Light. And for pretty much all of these weapons, I have done separate video guides on how to acquire them. So if you want to know that, it's going to be popping up as I go over these weapons. So, firstly, in last place, the worst of the Beyond Light exotics, it's the Salvation's Grip exotic grenade launcher. Its intrinsic perk is Cryo Cannon. Press shoot and you can hold it to charge, release it to fire. This weapon's projectiles create stasis crystals and freeze nearby targets. It also has another unique perk with Flash Freeze. Charging this weapon increases the freeze radius and the amount of stasis crystals created. So, even though I don't think this is a particularly fantastic weapon, you are going to want to acquire it as quickly as possible, and that's because a lot of the stasis challenges and certain quests, especially to go and get aspects for your stasis subclasses, need you to have the Salvation's Grip in order to shoot entropic shards with it. So you do want to get it, but the thing is, it just doesn't inflict a lot of damage. Instead, it's going to freeze enemies with stasis crystals. Now, that can be very useful, especially if you have certain fragments, like I'm showing right here, where you get benefits for shattering stasis crystals, for example. That's going to work in combination with the Salvation's Grip. And there's a lot of quests out there that want you to kill enemies with stasis or affected by stasis, and so again, the grip is going to help you get those quests done fast. But when it comes to higher level content, you're often much better off killing that enemy than freezing it for a little bit. Especially since this weapon takes up your heavy slot, and as we're going to see later in this video, there are some very, very powerful heavy weapons out there. With all of that being said, it certainly still does have a place, especially in PvE, if you're running a very synergistic stasis build and you want to be freezing and shattering as many enemies as possible. In PvP, however, because heavy ammo is just so limited, people are often going to favor weapons that just outright kill their opponents rather than freeze them, and then you have to do more work to go and kill them. But it's time to move on to the second weapon on our list, and that is the No Time to Explain exotic pulse rifle. Now, this weapon is awarded to you if you've got the deluxe edition, I believe, after you beat the campaign. It's just given to you. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts. This is a good weapon. Its intrinsic perk is Rewind Again. Precision shots and shots against combatants slowed or frozen by stasis will return to the magazine. It also has another unique perk here with Time Slip. At 10 stacks of Rewind Again, a small portal will open, shooting bullets from an alternative timeline version of this weapon. Precision hits extend the portal's duration. So, in a PvE environment, you essentially have a weapon that has unlimited, infinite rounds in the magazine as long as you're hitting your headshots. And so, as a result of that, this weapon has actually been utilized in some endgame challenges and scenarios. Mainly what I'm thinking of is higher level, solo, legend, and even master lost sectors, because currently pulse rifles are able to bust through barrier shields. You can use the No Time to Explain and not only destroy a barrier champion shield, but just consistently shoot it over and over and over again. As long as you're landing your crits, you can shoot infinitely and you will kill that guy. It's going to take a little longer, but if you like the slow, methodical approach, you can use the No Time to beat content that you're probably underleveled for, and that is a mark of power for this weapon. It also doesn't hurt that in PvP, this thing is seeing a decent amount of play. It's capable of a 2-burst kill right now, and it's really just a fantastic pulse rifle overall, especially if you can activate Time Slip, you're going to increase your damage output significantly. It's like 2 people are shooting every enemy you're engaging, so this does see a decent amount of play in PvP too. But it's time to move on from there to the next weapon within our list, and that is the Cloudstrike Exotic Snipe Rifle. Intrinsically, it has Mortal Polarity. Precision final blows generate a lightning bolt at the target's location. It also has another unique trait, Stormbringer. Rapid precision hits create a lightning storm at the point of impact. So this is a very powerful weapon as well. So in PvE, essentially what the Cloudstrike is at least a god-rolled sniper rifle. The fact that it can get those storm triggers for rapid precision hits means that its damage output is significantly more than other sniper rifles. Now you can potentially rival it if you have an utter god roll of certain sniper rifles, but if you're a newer player and you don't have access to that, again, the Cloudstrike is just a pre-made god roll. But not only is the damage output so significant, it can take down raid bosses, but its ad clearing potential in PvE is also great. If you get a kill amongst a group of enemies, all those enemies are going to die because of the lightning bolts. And this weapon is also seeing a decent amount of play in PvP, because if you do snipe an enemy, which is not hard to do with the Cloudstrike, it has some great stats overall, any enemies nearby get clapped by that Thunderstrike as well. This weapon has only been out for a week or so, but I've already seen some disgusting clips of Guardians getting multi-kills utilizing this thing. But it's time to move on to the second best Beyond Light exotic weapon, and that goes to the Eyes of Tomorrow exotic rocket launcher. Now, the intrinsic perk of this weapon is Eyes on All. This weapon is capable of tracking and firing at multiple targets simultaneously. It also has the other unique trait, Adaptive Ordnance. Killing 4 or more combatants with a single volley increases the damage of the next volley. So, this weapon is by far the hardest to acquire. It's a random drop in the final encounter of the Deep Stone Crypt raid. However, as more and more people have started to get this thing, I've started to see it more and more. This is arguably the best rocket launcher in the entire game. It locks on to multiple targets at a time, and the lock-on is super generous in the fact that you can aim down sights to acquire targets, and then unaim down sights, you'll still lock onto those targets. So you can peek up out of cover, lock onto a bunch of guys, peek down into cover, look up into the sky, shoot all your rockets, and those will go and still track those targets. You can look to the left to lock on a couple targets, and then unaim down sights, look to the right to lock on to more targets, fire, and your rockets will split and go to both the right and the left. It is very easy to use and very devastating when you use it right, because all of those rockets inflict a significant amount of damage. You're almost always triggering Adaptive Ordnance because it's like nearly impossible not to devastate every enemy on your screen, frankly, and it can also do significant burst DPS to single targets, because even if you lock onto just one target, all the rockets still fire and go to that single target. So it's a very, very good weapon. In PvE especially, the ad clearing potential is out of this world. And it really doesn't hurt. The Ordnance mod exists too, which buffs damage for specifically rocket launchers. It's not just PvE, however. The Eyes of Tomorrow is pretty good in the Crucible, and I've seen quite a few clips of people getting multi-kills with this thing, but right now it is absolutely terrorizing Gambit as well. The Truth, which just shoots one lock-on rocket, was already one of the best weapons for Gambit invaders. The Eyes of Tomorrow takes that to another level, and it is the last thing you want to see when you're being invaded. But moving on, somehow we have something even more powerful. At the top of our list, it's the Lament exotic sword. So, its intrinsic perk is a doozy. It's called Banshee's Wail. You press and hold block to rev the blade like a chainsaw. This increases damage, shield bypass, and adds the ability to pierce barrier champions' shields. Also, you gain stacks when dealing damage with revved attacks. Additional stacks increase the damage and damage resistance of heavy attacks. It also has another unique trait with revved consumption, where damaging a combatant heals the wielder. So, all of that means that with this weapon, if you hold block, you'll raise up this weapon and again rev it like a chainsaw, and then you can do some normal attacks, which they themselves are going to do extra damage if you can get 2 to 3 normal attacks in, and then you do a heavy attack. That is going to be a special revved up heavy attack, which is going to do significant amounts of damage. The Lament puts forth so much damage that it can cheese Riven, which is like the basis for absolutely insane damage output. But the ability to do that combo, the rev it up, attack, heavy attack, means that the burst damage within one of those combos is significant, and therefore this has become a staple in even raid loadouts against the second boss of the Deep Stone Crypt. The Lament is absolutely fantastic here and just destroys that guy. In higher level endgame content involving champions, the Lament has also become a mainstay, being able to not only deal with barrier champions single-handedly, but the damage output is so significant, you stun an overload champion or an unstoppable champion, and then you just run up to it with the Lament, pull off a combo, and it's dead. Right now, swords in Destiny 2 are absolutely incredible. They're among the highest damage outputting weapons in the game, and the Lament is arguably the best sword, and therefore it's absolutely cracked out of its mind, and by far it's the weapon you should try to get first within Beyond Light. And so guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, found this informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.